The views expressed are not necessarily those of KSCJ and Powell Broadcasting Company. This program is not intended to replace the advice of doctors or other clinical providers. Consult with your practitioner to ensure the proper course of action for you.
Welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well on AM 1360, FM 94.9 KSCJ. This program is dedicated to your mental health wellness and brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency. Here's your host, Art Silva.
Good morning, Siouxland, and welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well. This is your weekly show regarding your mental wellness and how you can navigate the daily highway of life. We're brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency. So with us today, we're going to have a little kind of like different kind of topic, and we're going to talk about sports fans and mental wellness. With me today, we have Brenda Geisinger, Chief Operating Officer for Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, and a special guest, the world famous Mr. Mark Wetz. Yeah, we brought Mark in today because Mark has been a referee for how long? Give us your background in refereeing.
Well, I know it's been over 25 years because I just got a plaque from the state of Iowa that says I've been there for 25 years.
Confirm that.
But and that was as a certified official. Before that, I'd say another 10 years. So I'm saying 35.
And what sports?
Football and basketball.
Okay. So
retired from football about a year and a half ago.
So we're going to get to some of the, I'm sure, stories you can share with us with your experience. And, what happened to just behaving, going to the ball game, any type of sporting events, and just behaving? Recently we've had just to kind of give you a little background on what we're talking about, we'll go back to 2004 and the malice at the Palace in Detroit between the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons when players went into the stands to fight. I remember a Red Sox-Yankee game when Gary Sheffield took a swing at a Yankees right fielder. The ball got close to the right field wall, and Sheffield went to go play the ball, and a fan took an uppercut swing at him. Sheffield fielded the ball and threw it back in. But, we just had the incidents the other day in the NBA with water bottles being thrown at ball players. Kansas City Royals, think back on this one. Tom Gamboa, this is back, I think, in right around 2002, and this was in Chicago when the Royals rushed the dugout to help the coach after he was attacked on the field. These incidents go on, and why? What's happened in our sports world? Is this a reflection of our overall society? Why can't we just go to the ball games, enjoy it, and not have to worry about either language or fighting or just hostility? So those are some examples of players and fans' hostility. So I want to see, Mark, let's talk about it. With this, we're seeing this on the pro level. What do you see on the high school level?
And that's where I officiate, is the high school level. I think parents' expectations for their children are so great that they lose sight that the idea of high school sports is to have some fun, teach you some teamwork. But I think so many parents, once again, they just expect their child to be the next NFL great or the next NBA or get that college scholarship. And I think their expectations are sometimes not met, and so they take it out on the officials. They take it out on other players. Quite often the athlete on the court or on the field, they're actually embarrassed by what their folks are saying. I had one girl, I'll never forget it. If I live to be 100, she said, "Could you get my dad to be quiet?"
Wow.
Wow.
And my response is probably not, unless I throw him out. And that's a whole nother set of problems when you start down that road. But
Brenda, you would have to say as a fan, have you witnessed this?
Oh, absolutely. You go to games and out of the blue, all of a sudden you start seeing a parent or even a coach. I've seen some coaches berate, players, and it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. And I think, like what Mark is saying, there's these expectations on the kids and the players to really excel. And I think also as a parent, if you're watching your child and they're not doing well, or you think something is unfair, you want to rescue them sometimes. And the anger gets the best of the parent or the fan. That vulnerability of, I have no control. Things can get out of hand very, very quickly.
I'm Art Silva, and you're listening to When Things Aren't Going Well, and joining us today is Brenda Geisinger, our Chief Operating Officer at Family Services, and Mark Wetz, history of officiating, just retired, and we're talking today. Our topic is on sports fans and mental wellness. You take a look at, let's take football, for example, and we take the holidays, and let's say a football game is playing, and it can have a central role at Thanksgiving and or New Year's when, your team doesn't do well. It can set a whole family in place how that football game went. And why is that? Thoughts, Mark?
Well, we have sometimes a divided family. Somebody likes one team, somebody likes the other team. It's kind of fun in our family because we get to needle one another, and it's all pretty good natured. But I have seen it where it causes conflict, to which I'll never probably understand it all the way because it's a game, and I think people are so in tune to it, and they think that the officials are going to be perfect. We're not. There isn't an official out there that is perfect. We will miss calls. We will pass on a call sometimes. We see it. We just decide to pass on it. It's not as easy as it looks, but if you watch the replays from college or professional when they have it, not too many times is the official really wrong. I mean, some of those plays are bang, bang, and we don't have the ability to slow it down to slow motion and look at it for a minute and a half or 2 minutes while they decide whether the toe was on the line or not. We make the decision in real time at real speed right now. Don't have the benefit of hindsight.
And I would agree with you. When you take a look at a lot of the calls that the referees, umpires make, they're pretty much right on. Bang, bang. And, very few are kind of overruled.
But why people get so invested on a game on TV, I can't tell you. Because in my mind, it's a game. And if my team wins, I still get to go to work the next day. If my team loses, I still get to go to work the next day. So my point really is, in my life, it doesn't affect me that much. And I don't believe it really affects too many other people other than the players of that particular team. Their paychecks come from it. Their scholarships riding on how they play. But as a fan, if Notre Dame wins, good for Notre Dame. I like it. If they lose, okay. I'm still walking the earth. It's not life or death.
Well, I think our producer, Justin Barker, can certainly attest to the Nebraska, Iowa, and boy, there's some strong feelings going both ways. And it's good nature. Sportsmanship is great. It's all about the game and how well you play the game. But it gets out of hand sometimes.
Well, it definitely does. And I mean, but it's fun if we all rooted for the same team.
Yeah,
well, there'd be no point. I mean, there'd just be no point.
I want to get Brenda's perspective on this as a mom and holiday time and as a fan. What do you think?
Well, as a mom, there have been times where the game is on and it's time to eat. And the game is on. And it's been a little uncomfortable, tense. of the game is going off because it's time to eat because the food is getting cold. And that has caused some intense moments.
I can relate to that. Wait a minute. Yeah, the TV on? No, that's not going to happen. Well, this has been really good. We're going to talk. We've been identifying some problems here and some fan behavior that's not right. You can always hear. I know Mark can hear that guy in the stands all the time. There was a rabbit ears or whatever. But I know you can hear him. And that can be pretty personal at times.
You can hear him. I'd be lying if I say we don't hear.
But we're going to talk in the second half of our show on some of the things we can do to help handle this, and just kind of talk a little more about that. So we're coming up on our break right now, and we're going to take a short pause for the cause. You're listening to When Things Aren't Going Well right here on 1360 KSCJ.
Let's face it, that happens to all of us. However, the pandemic has compounded all of our lives and activities. Even the simplest tasks seem harder. Hi, I'm Brenda Geisinger, the Chief Operating Officer at the Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Family Services is a United Way partner agency serving children and families of our community, and we're here to help. If you'd like to learn more about Family Services, please contact us via email, website, Facebook, or phone Mary Pickens. At Family Services, we change lives.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well on KSCJ. Here's Art Silva.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well. I'm Art Silva, and with me today is Brenda Geisinger, along with Mark Wetz, and we've been talking about sport fans and mental wellness. And when you take a look, it's easy to find controversy on some reason why the outcome of a game was not fair. Was it an ambiguous call by an official? Was it poor play by a player? And sometimes poor coaching. And a lot of this falls back on fan reaction and how they handle these things. The good news is, there are ways that I think that we can start controlling this, looking at some of the problems here. And then, so I'm just going to throw out right now one of the suggestions on how we handle this. Let's keep it in perspective. How do you feel about that, Mark?
Well, I always look at it this way. The kids are trying their best. Mm-hmm. They're high school kids. They're not paid to do this. They're out because they want to participate. They want to try. They're doing the best they possibly can. I think the officials are doing the best that they can. And I know the coaches. Everybody tries the best they can. Some days, your best just isn't good enough. The other team is better. They may have better players, whatever the reason being. Sometimes your best is not going to be enough. And I guess that's why we play the game, is to see who is best on that particular night.
Nobody likes losing, but if you lost and you played your best and you lost to a better team, that's a lot easier to take than giving a game away and not playing your best. So it always gets down to the outcome is going to be determined by how well you play.
Absolutely.
It's that simple. And you have to fight adversity at times. You may not like to play. There's things that happen that, could be viewed unfair. But as a player, you just got to hang in there. And I think players pretty much do. But when the fans react, that impacts the player also. You get the player fired up. You create a controversy that really wasn't there. And now you're dealing with a whole new issue. So sometimes if it's not encouraging, what Mom say growing up, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything. Mm-hmm. Brenda?
I think the other thing is, keeping it in perspective. Sports, it's more than sports. It's about sportsmanship and camaraderie and building a team and working together. And part of that is also the fans. When COVID was happening and fans were not there, present, there was a huge sense of loss for the players. And they missed that. So as a fan, you have a responsibility also to support, cheer, be positive. And when you're negative, let's go back then to not being there. The kids need our support.
Well, I tell you, something that I think about that really has changed in sports since my growing up and my growth has been the banter. Now, there was times where we talked with each other, but it was more friendly banter. Now this has become part of the game. And sometimes, at least on the pro level, it crosses the line. I know that I think there are rules in high school on this, Mark. You want to talk about the trash talking, is that they call it?
We have the taunting rule, and we enforce it pretty strictly. And I'd say by and large, most of the athletes adhere to it pretty well. The fans can be pretty brutal. They can decide to pick on one player, and once they start, it can be pretty brutal. And we've literally gone to the game administrator and, that section needs to calm down or we'll just clear that section out because what they're saying is inappropriate. I mean, you can't have the fans just, I call it hammering one of the student athletes. It's just not right. And that's kind of one of my pet peeves. And I think most officials, when they're aware of it, will be proactive and put a stop to it. But nobody wants to see their child just abused verbally by, I call them clowns in the stand. I mean, it's just not right. If you want to pick on somebody, pick on the officials. I think we can take it, but don't pick on the players themselves because they are absolutely doing the best that they can do or they wouldn't be out there.
Well, friendly talk can become unfriendly really fast. And you've seen that evolve as situations happen. And I just think that, as a former ball player, you never said anything. You just would point to the scoreboard. That's all you do. There's no room for comments on the scoreboard. You just point to the score. I mean, that's playing the game. But, I just think whether it's through the media we have, people getting more closer to the game, it's changed. It's changed a lot. And I'm not going to say all for the better. I think certain sports, there's much more banter than others, and as part of the game, I think I would say the NBA would be right up there. I wish they would. I wish they would wire football players for sound. We could hear that would be a great addition to the NFL. If you can hear what's being said, they'll probably have to bleep every other word out because it's pretty rough down there. But I'm just saying that's such an element of the game, and it has such an impact on the game. People don't realize the psychological impact it has on players, with fans. It's like almost mob rules sometimes. Mm-hmm. Brenda, any thoughts on that?
I think not only the fans during the game, but I think parents also need to be aware criticizing their child during the game or after the game. There are a lot of kids, they're just out there having fun and they just want to participate. But when they get home or in that car and their parent is criticizing and commenting, a lot of kids quit. They can't handle it. And it's all about let's just have fun and exercise and be together.
To that point, I think what parents need to understand is let the coach coach.
Exactly.
If you want to coach your child, then maybe you should have applied for the head coaching job. Because I guarantee you that coach, I can remember when I went to school, it was pretty simple. They had the big meeting and the coach said, I'm the coach, you're the parent. I won't be the parent and you won't be the coach. Would there be any questions now? Mm-hmm. And it was pretty silent in the room and everybody got the drift that that's the way it was going to be. And I think today, too many parents are trying to coach their kid, even from the stands while the game is going on. And the poor kid's looking at his coach. He's hearing mom and dad yell at him, and he really doesn't know whether to go left, right, or sit down. So my advice to parents was let your kid play the game and let the coach coach.
Great advice. 35 years experience as a referee, football, basketball. Seen it all, and I think that's just great advice. Really, really good. The next thing, if this leads to one of the possible solutions is avoidance. Ultimately, it might make sense for people to consider whether or not they want to invite something into their life that makes them so angry. Watching sports is a choice, even for people who are very passionate, and you can choose not to watch it if it's unhealthy for you. So where do you, like anything else, you got to find that moderation. You got to find that peace. When this gets to be no fun, I should not come out of this deal frustrated. I'm here to enjoy this. So when you get people like that around you, avoidance. Maybe you just don't invite them. You avoid them. You avoid these games. And that doesn't seem like the right way to go, but it's the only option left. Brenda?
I think that's right. You have to make choices. And if it's becoming too controlling of your life or too problematic, you got to maybe not go as frequent or watch as frequent and make some different choices for yourself.
Well, I love good rivalries. Don't get me wrong. Red Sox Yankees is still the best rivalry going. But you don't hit anybody over the head with the bats on bat days, and you got to behave. And it's just let's do it on the field and point to the scoreboard. That's what really matters. So we're coming up on the end of our show today, and Mark and Brenda, I want to thank you very much, Mark, especially for your expertise in sharing that 35 years of experience, buddy.
Well, there'll be some people that say I don't have a lot of expertise, but, everybody's entitled to their opinion. So I enjoy it. It's fun. We've got a great bunch of guys and gals that I officiate with, and I've loved every minute of it.
You're a good ref.
Well, we always end our show with a little humor, and humor is good for the soul. So here's your joke for the week. I used to be addicted to hokey pokey, but then I turned myself around. Brett and Mark, thank again. I want to thank our listening audience. I want to do a shout out to your United Way staff. Let's all get on the bus. And also to Fred D. Wells. What a celebration that was last night. Join us next Saturday morning when things aren't going well right here on 1360 KSCJ 94.9 FM, when our topic will be Father's Day and mental wellness. Have a great week. May the sun shine on you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails.